We are live. I'm always excited that this works. It's amazing. So I'm so excited. We're doing Manifestor Mindset. And for those who are tuning in for the first time, I always like to bring people who are going through a journey of transformation. We've had a number of guests from a bunch of different fields and industries who have done something incredible, but are not content and are morphing into different areas, whether that's, business, or yesterday we had Ndamukong Suh, who is a defensive tackle in the NFL, who became very close to Warren Buffett and then now is like a mega investor. And we philosophized about the top things that Warren Buffett had to tell him. So I'm really excited about today's segment to have a couple of special guests with me. First, I'll start with Denise to introduce you. Denise Lambertson is the founder of an agency that puts together these extraordinary deals between celebrities and great products. She has tremendous taste and a great eye, seems to always back winners. But she went through her own journey. She was originally the EA for Madonna. And that seems probably like eons ago. When I taught a course with Len Schlesinger at Harvard in January, Denise joined me and took everyone to school about how do you structure these celebrity partnerships, take us deep into the mind of celebrity. And it was one of the most popular classes over those 5 days. So I have Denise with me. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. And I have Julianne Hough. I don't know when I get to call you Jules. I'm hoping by the end of this, we can morph into that kind of. Okay, awesome. Quick snapshot, although it's ludicrous to introduce you, but I will do it anyway. Dancing with the Stars, multiple-time champion, and world-renowned dancer, country singer, model. But the part that I'm really excited to talk to you about today is KINRGY. And this next chapter of your life, you've reinvented yourselves multiple times already, but I'm really excited to talk about KINRGY. I just watched your video not that long ago, and I'm all amped up, but also feeling very zen and peaceful. So, but I want to work up to that. I want to go back in time. Can you give me a little? I just want you to share a little bit of perspective about what dance means to you and what dance can do for everybody. Because that's when I watched your video, honestly, I'm a little bit of a skinhead, except I did the hand thing for a bit and I felt the energy. And then I was like, whatever. And by the end of it, I was moved. So I said, I'm very uncoordinated. So I just want to hear a little bit about, just take me to school on dance.
Well, first and foremost, the fact that you played full out and you just went for it, that's the biggest key to start anything. Like, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So dance for me has always been my superpower. And I've said that so many times, but I really believe it. And I don't believe it's just mine. I believe it's innately everyone's. If you go back in history, dance, different cultures around different villages and tribes, people dance for celebration. They danced for crops. They danced for fertility. They danced for healing, whatever it was. But dance was a universal language. It was a language that when we hold so much information in our body and sometimes we don't have the articulation to speak it, we can move it. And so for me, it's the quickest way that you can change your state from being in a low energy vibration when you cannot manifest great possibilities, and you can actually redirect your energy vibration to a higher state, and then you can imagine that anything is possible. So movement with emotional connection, that's like the most beautiful connection, because you get to actually physically move your body and energetically shift your mindset to what's possible. So to me, dance is like full superpower mode, not just for me, but for everyone.
What about these uncoordinated humans like me who look at you as almost like an alien? Because I can't even like I was very uncoordinated. Like,
well, and I think that that's the thing. People think about dance and they think of professional dancers. They think of, so you think you can dance, Dancing with the Stars, and it's technique based. And, you're not trying to be a professional dancer. So why judge yourself, or why think about right or wrong, good or bad? Instead, why don't you just express yourself and feel free? Most people feel like they have to go to a wedding and get drunk in order for them to dance freely. But if we can do that same kind of thing without alcohol or substance or whatever, and you just have that same freedom within yourself without judgment or comparison, or if I'm doing it right or wrong, I mean, there's so much freedom within that to open up for more possibility.
So you're doing something that I talk a lot about, which is we're going to go through this epic period of reinvention and transformation. Some of us will be forced to, others will want to, right? Especially spending 8 weeks at home and reflecting like, this is not the life I want, the one that I had, or maybe I need to change it. I know I've been going through that personal transformation myself. But you've been able to marry your life's passion with now a business, right? When did that epiphany hit you that I can combine these two and create a business out of it?
You know, my whole life, I've been fortunate that I have passion. Passion is just innately within me. And a lot of my 20s, actually before that, even my adolescent years into my 20s were about my own fulfillment and my own passion. And something happened around 26 years old, 27, when I had this realization that I was kind of taking from the world in order for me to feel better inside. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful exchange, but then there's gotta be a give as well. And so at like 26 years old, I realized, oh my gosh, I wanna contribute to the world. I don't wanna just take. And so at that moment, I realized that I can put my purpose behind my passion, or my passion behind my purpose. And that's when that transformation happened. And I realized so many people would ask me, when are they going to do Dancing with the Stars for the regular people? I was like, first of all, we're all regular and special. Let's put it out there. And second of all, why would you want to do Dancing with the Stars in the first place? And they said, well, I want to go through transformation. Because it's not so much that I get to learn how to dance. One, I get to physically maybe lose weight. But two, it's more about the confidence. It's more about the fact that people reinvent themselves on that show. They start out, maybe you haven't heard from them in quite some time. And by the end, they've relaunched their careers. They're happier in their love life. They're happy in their families. Something just ignites inside of them. So when I got that question often, I was like, wow, there's really something to this dancing thing. People feel alive. And I was like, how can I give that to people on scale, not just to do a TV show, but how can I help people feel that aliveness, that feeling of anything is possible? And that's when KINRGY was discovered. And
so you've been incubating for a period of time. I'm question for you, Denise, because you've gone through your own reinvention. You probably see a ton of deal flow and ideas, and especially on the celebrity front. How did you know that this was something you want to put your time into, that KINRGY could work?
Well, I've always really believed in Jules as an individual. I think she's magnetic in her way, and I resonate very much with the dance is fitness and the dance is wellness. But when Jules shared with me the deeper vision for it, and how she was also incorporating even elements of spirituality, mindset to the title of the show here, and like inclusivity and all of these themes that I started to see as somebody who watches trends. I started to see these like things pop up and percolate, but not need to be demystified, need somebody to give them credibility, and need somebody to really champion the message that it is a part of overall wellness. And so when Jules started to share with me how she was bringing KINRGY to life, I really connected with, she's the right person, it's the right time. And this is, a real business that is taking all these foundational pieces and pulling them together, and has the ability to cut through the clutter of what is like a very ultimately saturated wellness kind of community. So it was really the marriage of all those things, and Jules as the champion that made me really believe.
So Jules, let's break it down, right? So a little kinder, gentler version of Shark Tank. You, what I find fascinating is you're really ramping up with KINRGY. I could sort of see, looking through the evolution of it and all the energy that you're creating around it, and then the Black Swan event, pandemic strikes.
Yeah.
So if you could give a little bit of context of what was KINRGY before and what might KINRGY be afterwards.
So our philosophy is that when you can connect to yourself, you can then relate to the people around you, and then you can experience the world. So first and foremost, we were like, we need human connection. So we were just finishing up our tour with Oprah and WW, which we reached 135,000 people in 9 cities. And we realized that, wow, this is incredible. People are feeling it. We've got 20,000 people in an arena doing it at the same time, and they're having the experience that happens in 45 minutes in 15 minutes. So we're like, okay, first of all, it works with one person or 20,000 people in a room. And then we were about to go into pop-ups. We were about to start, gathering data and information and credibility. And then this happened. And I got to tell you, as unfortunate as this timing has been, it has been the biggest blessing in disguise, because we realized that human connection is incredible, but we can actually reach people globally right now. And we are seeing people from Venezuela and Australia and all over the world. And it is uniting us even more because we're having this shared experience, and we're able to, I'm getting chills right now, even thinking about it. We have this shared experience that we are doing collectively around the world. And now more than ever, people are needing to connect to themselves and to people so that we can experience this collective experience in the world right now together. And so it has been the greatest blessing that we have been able to shift our model and our perspective and be able to be in flow. I think that's the biggest thing too, is that we realize that we cannot actually have our grip so tight on something. We have to have it be able to move and shift. And this has been incredible. I mean, the responses that we've been getting, we've been growing at like 70% every week, which is ridiculous. and yet, as much as it is about the growth, it's all been organic because the mission and the impact of why we're doing this is so strong.
I want to use this as a teaching moment, actually, listening to you talk, because I know anybody who's watching this at the moment is thinking a couple of thoughts, and that actually are relevant for your investment strategy. I really want you to win right now. No, I really want you to win. I'm thinking about how can I help you win. I want to be part of you winning. So that's number one. So you want to find people that have something special that makes you want to. Two, I believe you want to back people that were put on this earth to do this business, right? And like God or whomever you believe and put you on this earth to make, KINRGY, which is very, very, rare. So I just wanted to pause. So anybody watching, be like, that's how you pick and choose.
Well, thank you very much.
I was watching your video. I already had that emotion, which is interesting. So then one of my questions was, can you scale that? And just being exposed to the energy is pretty amazing. So question for you, it's like one can't teach somebody how to instruct a class the way that happened. Like, where did that skill set come from? Were you just a natural that you could get in front of a room and, get me going? Like, screen?
It's encoded energy, it's like what you put, it's the purpose behind the passion. So it's like, if I'm trying to get you to have an experience, I'm going to fail. I'm 100% going to fail because that's not authentic. Your experience and my experience are totally unique to me. So I have to be completely authentic in who I am when I enter a room. And if I am having a bad day, if I'm having a rough day, I'm going to own that and use it versus try to cover that up and present and push and try to make it great so you have the best experience that you can have. No, if I have the most authentic and clear, then you're going to feel your permission or your safety in order to feel that you can be fully expressed.
Well, I read an article. I forgot. You probably will know what I'm talking about. It was Breathless. The reporter was talking about how she was cynical stepping up into the room. She had heard people come to you and have a near religious experience and like emotional, and she was resistant. And then after a little bit was crying like in the room. And I was like, nah. Then I watched it. I was like, I kind of see how that happened. How much do you draw? I know you're a soul cycle, you've been a soul cycle. How much do you draw energy from that? How much of that is so people can understand, like a corollary?
Yeah, I think if anybody's taken a soul cycle class, there's a structure. There's a freedom within a framework. It's a 45-minute class. That there's going to be, the warm up and then the cool song that gets you going. And then like the really hard part to push through. But that's that moment of breakthrough that you have to push through. And our minds are so irritating because our mind is the one that tells us we can't have that breakthrough. But that's why the physicality is so important, because our body is so much more powerful. If we just surrender our mind to our body and allow us to go forward, we will break that threshold and we will have that moment of insight or breakthrough, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, energetically, or like, whoa, now I need this for my business or for my family. Like, you just have that clarity. So with Soul Cycle, you know the structure and you know what you're going to get every time, but the talent, the people that are teaching the classes are special. They're unique, and it's because they're authentic. And so the teacher training that we went to, it's our whole philosophy is how we actually shift people's experiences as the business, but it has to start from the inside out. So when I started building KINRGY from the inside out, the first person that I hired was our chief cultural officer, because that was the most important part for me, to make sure that we started with integrity and that we built a culture within our company, our employee experience. And as that grew, our consumer experience, our user experience is just going to be so much greater because it was from the inside out. And so that to me was the number one thing that we focused on.
I love that you said that, but I did a post not that long ago called Inside Out.
Yeah.
The fact that if your internal culture doesn't match what you're purporting to put out there in the world, you eventually will be exposed and your house will topple over. So
absolutely. Yeah. You have to build from the ground up and not from the sky down. And that's hard for me because I'm a visionary. I am like, let's go all the way out and then reverse engineer. And I know my strength. I'm an artist. I'm an innovator. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. And so the most important thing for me, I actually learned from Dolly Parton. We did a TV show together, and she's like, I wanted to build, all these different businesses. I wanted to have a theme park. I didn't know how to build a theme park, but I'll give you the best advice that I can. Hire people that are smarter than you. And in return, you're smarter than them for hiring them. Yeah. That was from Dolly Parton herself. And so I realized and she's like, stay the artist, stay the visionary, stay the innovator, because that is your gift. And so I know that, I know my strengths. And I've decided, I was like, I'm going to just hire these experts in their field. And that way they can just go and do and just be. And
that is a really important epiphany. It's not like a minor point. And when I'm talking to founders a lot, the areas where I see the most friction is they put it upon themselves to be all things to all people. And it's like, oh, I don't care if you know how to use Excel, or I'm hiring you to imagine. I'm holding you accountable to your ability to be self-aware and know what you're missing, and then to find the best people to do those roles. But I wasn't holding you accountable to be all those things. It doesn't make, nobody can be all that. So who have you, I'm curious, Denise, right? So you find your way to, tell me about what's Denise doing to help you? And I'd love to understand the pieces that you've tried to pull into your life to make the business work.
Well, first and foremost, Denise, you have just been a godsend and just so generous. And first and foremost, just my mentor. Maybe you don't even know you're my mentor, but I'm telling you now. Because of first and foremost your kindness. I think when when we connected, we just had a human connection first and foremost, and that builds trust. That builds a foundation of, man, I just magnetism. I want to work with this person. I'm rooting for you. You're rooting for me. Let's just create magic together. And then of course, just on top of that, I mean, Denise has the experience, the expertise in building companies that are holistic and that are socially conscious, and putting them together, knowing how to match, knowing how to partner, knowing how to make things sustainable. So it's not just a quick fix. I've been in the entertainment industry and done endorsements and all sorts of things, and they never last when it's about the quick fix or selling something. And when Denise and I first spoke, we just got it. Sometimes you just don't have to explain yourself, and you just know, like that is just, that's everything. And so we just got it. We just wanted to root for each other. We were passionate and aligned in the same, missions of what we wanted to put out into the world. And it's an exchange of energy, because it is a business. So we need to receive so that we can give more. So how do we maximize on that in a way that feels really good and not gross?
Probably but the whole reason for us doing this today is to do a surprise party for you, because
I know, I'm like so glad. I'm like blushing. I'm not used to this, but thank you.
Because you've been behind the curtain for so long, and then when we brought you to Harvard and sort of exposed some of your magic, but the continuation of that. So maybe give a little bit of perspective of what you're doing to help guide the business.
Yeah, well, it's so exciting to hear Jules talk about, especially like building a team, because one of the from my perspective, having worked with so many early stage businesses through the life of my agency, and part of what I do in the agency is partner great, high profile ambassadors, celebrities, et cetera, with these early stage companies that, founders that aren't celebrities, one of the biggest pain points that I see is hiring and scaling and taking that idea that you've had, that, thing you made in the kitchen, et cetera, and like making sure that the team around you is, able to bring that vision to life. And so when Jules and I reconnected and she was telling me about the business and she introduced me to some of the people that she hired, it really crystallized for me, that she is a true entrepreneur and a true business person, because I saw what she just described as, she had hired people that were very complementary to her skill set and empowered them and wasn't intimidated by their, different skills and experience, and wasn't trying to do everything. And that in and of itself reinforced to me that this is a very bankable business outside of the magic of Jules. Like in it, the fact that she's building it like a founder that would have success, as opposed to feeling, where there are single points of failure and all sorts of things. So that was great for me to see. And one of the things that I hope to do is, through the life of my relationship with the business, is help that go from, the 10 to 20 or so people now, if you include the instructors, right, to 40, 60, 80. And how do you take that when you don't get to interview every single person anymore? And, you need to be able to grow and scale that incredible experience of being a part of the culture. And that is when you go from that kind of startup phase to the growth stage, it gets scary. So I guess that's like one small place, but ultimately, the place that I think that I really see the most opportunity to add value with KINRGY is in that that it's a celebrity founder-led business, and that that's a very different kind of relationship with your fans than it is when you are in your traditional entertainment life. And how do you make that transition for them? How do you build a business that has its own identity, that isn't totally dependent on you, but is connected to you? And really trying to share with Jules and the rest of the KINRGY team what I know about how when that's done really well, and all the small steps it takes to get there, versus, the pitfalls, the scary moments where you're like, oh, if Jules just does this, then we'll get this huge windfall of that because she's got, the public persona and she can really turn on. But no, the company actually needs to be able to do that on its own, develop assets on its own, et cetera. So that's, and, Jules and her team empowering and being incredible partners that they will, listen, take advice, push back, like we can have a discussion, as opposed to, no, this is what we have to do right now. We're panicked, COVID hit, oh my God. Like, it is a true partnership in that sense. So there's, I see so much potential in the team and in the company, and those are a few of the reasons why.
So Jules, question. So what you're no different than anyone else who's kind of starting out in one sector and then, evolving and starting their own business and going for it, right? What are the few things that you've either surprised you that have been harder than you probably thought, or just areas where you thought, okay, I need to backfill my skill set here? What's that journey been like?
Yeah, so I am an achiever. Like, that is in my nature. Like I know how to win, and I've been a world champion dancer. I won Dancing with the Stars twice. Like I was the youngest and only American to do that, you know, not in Dancing with the Stars, but my dancing career. I was able to reinvent myself multiple times. And there's this thing about me that like, I love to achieve, I love to win. So the hardest part for me has been to slow down, to like pause, and to know that this business, it needs to be sustainable with or without me. And in fact, I would love it to be sustainable without me, and that I'm just a bonus, that my fan base is just a bonus. And so it's actually been, the hardest thing for me has been to be patient. And because again, like I said, I know innately, like, ooh, this is how I can fix it. This is how I can make it work. But the level of like nurturing that I have for this company is so beyond a quick fix that it's the patience. And that's why I said hiring our chief cultural officer was our #1 priority. It took us 2 years to build out our culture before we really hired like a bomb ass COO, you know, and like, sorry, excuse my language, but like, because like Denise was saying, it's like, in order for us to continue and to gain growth and fans and like raving fans, not just fans, but raving fans that are going to spread the word organically, like they have to feel that. And so it can't be something quick. So that to me has been my biggest challenge, is my own internal patience, because I really believe I can just get on the call and make something happen. But is that the right move long term? Oh, my mother's calling me.
Live, it's okay. Well, you actually hit on something I talk about a lot. You know, we debate this internally. I tend to back founder-driven businesses because I just have a bias towards it. I think you get that certain energy. Mm-hmm. And we have this conversation with, you know, Christina Tosi in Milk Bar. I don't know if you know her, but she, you know, is the face of the brand and she's magic. And there's always a debate of like, is Milk Bar independent of Christina Tosi? And my view is always businesses should be able to survive without the founder, but they should be better off because of it, right? And I'd much rather buy a product from a Christina Tosi cookie than just a cookie called Milk Bar. So, you know, my only advice to you is like, it's great to have your energy. That makes me want to subscribe to what it is that you've unleashed, as opposed to kind of an engineered, you know, abstract thing. Somebody came up with something that they purport to be spiritual. So, if you had to predict now, because you're a couple of years into it, do you believe it is a principally a digital business, streaming business, or with pop-up and studios in some places? Like, have you figured out the balance now between brick and mortar in a post-COVID world versus streaming?
Yeah, you know, our priority right now is focusing on this digital component, especially because we've actually personally experienced now, we can feel people through the internet. Like we can actually feel people through this. And I thought it was going to be a horrible experience, that I wasn't going to be able to experience, or I wasn't going to be able to feel and relate and be able to gauge what people needed in the room. And you feel it. And it's a very big collective experience. And it actually helps people engage even more because they have to engage in order to stay connected, versus sometimes when you see people in a studio, you know you're going to see them tomorrow, so maybe I won't really engage. But now everybody's engaging and talking about it, and so definitely a digital component. We have 3 parts of our business model and where we're focusing. You know, we have the streaming Peloton, you know, version with the live classes and the on demand, but we also have this lifestyle experience as well with merchandise, and that really highlights and fulfills people's lifestyle to live their most extraordinary life through service and product. So there's that. And then there's the social engagement. So there's 3 layers that we have that we're building from the ground up, that we really do see this. I mean, everybody says this, but we really do see this as a $1 billion business, in the sense that it has legs because the core is so strong. The method, the philosophy of what KINRGY is, has multiple legs.
I feel like you're not just building just observer and just watching and listening. You're not just trying to build a company, you're trying to build a movement.
Yes.
So if you were to describe what the KINRGY movement is and what does it mean to subscribe to that philosophy, that belief system, can you just break it down a little bit?
Absolutely. You know, I think we're shifting in paradigm of what this new world looks like. And I think people want simplicity as well as an expansive possibility. So what is that dynamic balance? And that's what KINRGY gives. It gives you an opportunity to work on yourself, to the personal development, the spiritual side, if you want it to be spiritual, or the scientific side, because we are backed in science as well. And you can have that part where you can work on yourself and feel like you have a trusted resource to go to help you find those tools that you need. On top of that, you can now create community with people who feel like you and have like-minded conversations, and then co-collaborate and co-create, because that is the new paradigm that we're moving into. It's not about the top down anymore. It's how do we work together to create, like I said, going back in history, it's like people in villages and communities, like that's what it was about. We do this together. And so I think it's about creating that experience where we all feel included and capable of creating. And then from there, that's where it goes into, now that I feel like I have the tools, I have the people, I now have the resources to create whatever magic I want and pay it forward. So that.
And how do you think about, I was thinking as sooner or later, I presume you'll raise capital. How do you strike a balance of preserving that magical experience, yet still scaling it, and potentially bringing in outside capital that has their own view? How do you preserve that magic that you've created and you could see it starting to take effect as you get bigger and bigger?
Integrity, absolute integrity. I think if you have integrity and you stay true to that, I think that those people will find you. You will find them. Your circle, it gets bigger and somehow they just pop into your circle. You don't have to reach outside. When you reach outside of yourself to try to get, like I said, that's not sustainable and it's a quick fix. So when we can actually stay integral with what we believe, I truly believe this, and this is manifestation. Like you really can bring in the people that you will work with. And I've met VCs already that have unbelievable hearts, unbelievable passions to create good in the world. Not all VCs are just like about scale. We don't care about the heart and the soul of the world. Like there's some really good people. And that's, I think, the thing that I have is I have an innate belief in humanity that we are good. And I think that there are good people everywhere. And so with that, I believe that if you stay true and integral with your beliefs, then those people will come and like I said, I mean, look, I'm all like philosophical right now and like very heart driven, but I kind of can be a bit of a ball buster too at times.
No doubt.
I definitely have direction. We'll just put it that way.
I wanted to bring this out because it's something I talk about how important it is to take in capital that maps to the DNA of what you're doing. And that it's something to really think about, because your point, there are kind-hearted, spiritually minded, wellness-oriented VCs, and then there's money, and that money may just, at one day when you're wants to, I want to roll out, 100 studios. Why can't we just license KINRGY, all over the country, and then we'll flip it? Like those conversations can really hurt a company. And sometimes people don't have the luxury of choosing where they take money, but if you do have the luxury, make sure you're taking money that maps to your DNA and that they truly believe it. I love your word integrity. Because it's structural integrity, spiritual integrity, but it is possible. You just got to be smart about how you find that right money, right?
Yeah, and I think and at the end of the day, that's what KINRGY is all about: is to connect you to yourself enough to know that you trust your own integrity. You trust yourself, so that you're not getting outside information to where now you're like, ooh, should I do that? Oh, this person. No, I trust myself. And I also trust myself that I might not know the answer, and this person actually does.
Denise, question for you, actually, something we haven't got a chance to talk about publicly that we talked about at Harvard, right? So you have a bunch of people probably sitting out there with a business or an idea, and they think bringing in a celebrity investor is like eureka. They'll do one Instagram post and then I'll flip my company. Like, one, disabuse them all of that, the fallacy of that statement. But why are so many celebrities wanting to go into the investment space? And then just give the top 3 elements of a partnership that actually works, and then sub points. What can go wrong? And I have to unpack it.
I'm going to remember all these questions. So the first one, I think, listen, I think the reason that celebrities and athletes and people that are really high profile, but traditionally in entertainment or sports, are looking to be investors and business owners and founders is because that is, there's so much creativity in business now. And I think in a lot of those, in entertainment, there's tangential creativity that when it's funneled into the right place can have, incredible returns. It's another way to get your creativity out. And, it feels like a very special moment in time for that to be accepted and encouraged and empowered. And so I see, I see it go both ways to a certain extent, Matt. I mean, I see, incredible investors like you end up on television and having, in the entertainment industry in that way, right? So it's to Jules's point about collaboration and it's happening in entertainment and in business. And I think both are better because of it, frankly. As far as the top 3 things for celebrity partnerships, the biggest one for me is mutual benefit, and that there's alignment on what both sides of the table get out of it, and that that alignment is above and beyond the financial transaction, that it's about value alignment, it's about product and roadmap alignment, and that you're going to grow together, because when when you pair a celebrity or high profile person with a business, it's like a marriage. I mean, it's, it can be very, very hard to get out of should it not go right. So you really want to have that from the get-go. Also, but there's a lot of inherent misunderstandings between the two worlds. So, having those conversations up front, I think, are really important, what expectations are. And the third one for me is, no surprise to use a buzzword here, but the authentic connection with the product or the service. So I believe that consumers are just incredibly smart and savvy in comparison to 10, 20 years ago. And we know when we're being sold to, and it's offensive to us when somebody's trying to sell us something. And so when, in my agency business, we always lead with product first. We never talk about transaction. We never talk about what the relationship's going to look like, because I want that palette to be very clean when somebody gives me their reaction to it. And then we can figure out the specifics later. But I want to know what that made you feel like when you tried it out, when you tasted it, when you shared it with your mom, whatever it is. Sorry, my dog just came in. So yeah, those are the most important things.
Perfect. See, that wasn't bad. You tightly packaged. Thank you. So, Jules' question, and then I'll let you guys go. You've been so generous with your time. So many people out there back to reinvention. I'm just fascinated. I see this intensity, this repetitive intensity about you that keeps reinventing and rediscovering yourself spiritually, and then implementing it through different areas of your life. I think so many people are grappling with that now. What is your just general philosophical advice for people trying to figure out, how do I go to the next level, and how do I break out of my life?
So I think there's a big difference between being open and being curious. And I think that a lot of people say that they're open, but that openness is okay, I'm open. Tell me what that is. But I think that being curious is becoming a student again, becoming a child again. When you're a child, you have unlimited creativity and imagination. And when you can have that imagination, you can create literally out of thin air. And I think as an adult, or as adults, we start adulting, and we lose that imagination and that creativity and that curiosity. Sure. And I think that curiosity is so important to continue to have innovation, and innovation comes from creativity, and creativity comes from expression. And so if people are feeling stuck, people are feeling like just heavy, if people are feeling like what is going to come next, like so uncertain and so just beaten down, because I've been there too, and I've felt like the past was behind me, and by the way, yeah, I felt like the past was behind me, and I'm 31. Like, come on, like it happens, people. But I think that if you put your attention on something, and your intention behind it is just nothing, then you're going to just focus on that. So, you know, if you focus on something, you put your attention on like creativity or learning or curiosity with the intention to evolve, I think you just have like an extra motor behind you. It just like, it goes for you. You don't have to pedal. It just literally takes you. So I would just encourage people to be curious and to continue to be like a childlike wonderment, like kid that just activates their imagination and plays. And even if you play for 15 minutes a day, whatever that looks like for you, as a kid, I will tell you that is a form of meditation.
I love that. I'm struggling now whether or not I want to hire you as my therapist or want you to. No, I'm really grappling, or because I already know how much I want to see your business succeed. But interesting, like you will for sure succeed. I'm wondering just how big this business could be, because I think it could be huge, because your energy is so magnetic, so authentic, and so driven, and it scales based upon what I'm seeing. So putting on my Shark Tank hat, I'm in. You know, my little vote in the universe to the extent it matters. I think you have all the pieces, and most importantly, you have the self-awareness and humility to get the ones that you may not have. So it's amazing to watch you go through this founder journey. And that's why I wanted to share you with the LinkedIn universe, and so we could all cheer you on. Most importantly, everybody now not only wants to run through a wall for you, but wants to take KINRGY. Can you give a plug? How do we do it? You know,
yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much, by the way. That really means a lot. So yeah, please come to KINRGY.com. It's KINRGY. And I have classes every Saturday. It's the 45-minute version. And it's where we take people on this connected journey of connect with yourself so you can relate to others and experience the world. We activate our imagination so we can get to that creativity, that childlike wonderment. So that's every Saturday. And we are going to be opening up our online studio within 2 weeks. So we will have classes every day coming up.
And those are $25. What's the price point again for
the price point for the Saturday class is $25, and we are during this time giving half our proceeds away for COVID. And then for the future, we have different price points depending on different classes. If it's a 15-minute class or a 45-minute class, but that will be all up on the website. And then also, if you want to just come and like experience what our expression is of our company, you can go to our Instagram too. We have beautiful artistic videos, because I think that's one thing too, is that, you know, in business, yes, that you can have something just be a business and let it just succeed and do its thing. But I really believe that artistry and creativity, I believe we're all artists. And I think that showing that expression is the missing thing within businesses. When people can feel self-expressed, they feel seen. And when people feel seen, they really feel like they can achieve anything. So you'll be able to get some expression and really what our feeling of our company is if you go to our Instagram too.
See, now you just gave me so much more I want to break down. Seen is such an important point, right? How much more you get out of people when they feel seen.
Yes.
Which is why it's impossible to put you in a box, because you're such a deep thinker and you're doing the business direction.
But that's what I know, though. Like, I can't be in a box. So have you ever heard the term artist, entrepreneur, manager? So like there's 3 versions, right? And I'm like artist, entrepreneur, not a lot of managerial skills. But I know that. And so we have, like I said, we have an incredible COO that just crushes. And then everyone else on the team has those 3 different pots the artist, the entrepreneur, and the managerial. So when we have that collective 3 like trifecta of awesomeness, we can create magic. And I think that is, if I could leave anybody with anything too on that, if you're building a business, find somebody who's an entrepreneur, an artist, and a manager.
I love that, because that's where people fall apart. They, for some reason, especially artists, they'll get insecure and believe I needed to be an operator, right? Like that, like you're missing something if you can't hold the morning meeting, effectively, keep it under an hour. Like maybe that's somebody else's job. Like, why would an artist necessarily have the ability to also scale? You know what I mean? Or have some of the more retentive skills, which are very valuable, but like they generally tend not to go together. So people have a little bit of both of them, but it's much more efficient to give yourself permission to not have that skill set and defer to somebody else and respect that they have, right? Because sometimes that can be seen as commoditizable. You're an operator, you're not going to hire anybody.
It's equal opportunity, man. Like it's not about the top down anymore. One of our investors who is also he's an incredible entrepreneur and has been such a great advisor for us. He literally said, he's like, you don't have to be a CEO the way that CEOs have been determined. And that's why, again, we're shifting even the way that we do business. We're going to, that's what I feel KINRGY is doing, is we're shifting the way that you do business as well as the consumer experience. We're shifting the employee experience too. And that is where it's like, I'm here to lead by my encouragement and empowerment of my team. And that is what I know I'm freaking awesome at.
Well, they're lucky to have you, right? And building your team. And then Denise, people are going to want to find you. They've got these ideas. Now anybody out there looking to do a celebrity partnership or also I'm an investor in your fund, disclosure. So I'm not only your top cheerleader, I'm also an investor. So anybody can find you on LinkedIn, I assume?
Yes, Denise Lambertson, and the agency website's wearelms.com.
Okay.
Come find us. We love to talk.
Well, this is so awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm going to get my energy going. No, you're awesome. Any way I can help you, by the way, you let me know. To play a small role in your journey would be great. I know you're going to win with or without me, but I'm really excited for you. Both of you. You're both an inspiration. So thanks for spending some time with us.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Bye, guys.
Bye.